I'm curious about how you live day to day. And what I mean is you talked about, stewardship of the planet. And I'm also wondering about just knowing there's so much more, but like we're still having this physical materialist experience. Yeah, just maybe you could give a sense for how you go about, the chop wood, carry water expression. Like,
Right.
what do you bring to your normal course of your day?
Yeah. Well, one thing I religiously bring to my day is meditation. I use sacred acoustics. People can learn more about binaural beat, brainwave entrainment, very powerful way of getting into deep transcendental conscious states at sacredacoustics.com. But bottom line is I use meditation an hour or two a day, and I use that for many different things. I'm in communication with a lot of people who are, families, patients in coma, things like that. So I'm trying to help a lot of people who are in touch with me, not only through the books and presentations, but, through trying to deal with them on a daily basis. And it really, for me, there was a 180-degree flip that happened after my NDE, and especially after many months of assimilating it and making sense of it. And that has been a tremendous gift. And it's really coming to a much richer version of understanding who we are and how we relate with each other and with the universe at large, an understanding of the primacy of consciousness and mind. And this is not just, to humans. In fact, our little rational, logical ego voice, the linguistic voice in our brain, in many ways counters our spiritual knowledge. In many ways, animals don't have such a rational, logical center to talk them out of a deeper spiritual truth that they can sense about connectedness. But humans do. And in this material era that's kind of thrived in the last few centuries, but certainly been alive and well ever since the time of the Greeks, ancient Greeks, it really is kind of high time to grow up and beyond all that. And that's why meditation for me has been so important, but never forgetting that the most important part of existence is not between lives. When we go through life reviews and reconnect with higher souls, plan our next incarnations and the various lessons we'll learn and teach each other. But this material world is where we really get the growth done. And so don't short change this aspect of our existence. Even though we do it temporarily kind of dumbed down, it's what I call program forgetting. If you do look at uvadops.org, look at some of the 2,500 cases of past life memories in children over the last 6 decades that they've uncovered, you start to realize kind of this bigger role for our souls living multiple incarnations. And as I explained in my second book, The Map of Heaven, it's really not just that blind mechanistic wheel, for example, that some in Buddhism might argue, get off that spinning wheel and achieve nirvana by getting away from it all. In fact, this is a process filled with growth, lifetime after lifetime, all of us progressing in a sense. And I think that gets back to your earlier question about cycles of humanity and human history. And we seem to often repeat some of the mistakes of earlier eras, especially if we don't learn the history of earlier eras. But I believe in many ways, especially as we identify kind of the illusion of materialist thought and the illusion of thinking that the material world exists out there independently of us. But we come to much more recognize our role in generating kind of this unfolding destiny of humankind as it presents to us. We find out that free will is very much alive and well, as much as materialist conventional science would scoff at you for claiming to have free will. I mean, to them, consciousness is nothing more than the epiphenomenon of electron fluxes and chemical reactions in the substance of your brain. Pay it no mind, they would say. Well, the reality is the brain is not creating all of that de novo. And in fact, it's this top-down mental layer of causality that is so important to grok. And we're really sharing the one mind that does that kind of top-down expression of will. And that's where we can come to recognize how we as sentient beings can influence that stream of understanding and of effect on the world. I mean, that's exactly what placebo effect, miraculous healing and NDEs, and spontaneous remission is all about, is an expression of will that kind of optimizes the desire of the higher soul to come into wholeness, to come into healing. And that's why this kind of bigger understanding of it all can make so much more sense to us. And for example, transpersonal psychology is a beautiful example of these notions of past life memories achieved through hypnotic regression, through NDEs, through meditative experiences to recover these memories. They actually paint a picture of a broader existence across several lifetimes. That's why it's called transpersonal psychology. And it all arose from the work of Carl Jung, then Stan Grof, Michael Newton, Brian Weiss, and other courageous investigators. But they all came to see the power of acknowledging this bigger sense of self that has lived other lifetimes and set the stage for this lifetime to explain the issues of this lifetime and how best to deal with them and how best to move beyond and move to the next level in our spiritual and soul growth. And that's what I think is the deepest and most important lesson of the science of consciousness, and NDEs as the tip of the spear, is not what happens when we die, but how do I make better choices right now in this moment about seeing myself, my relationship with others and with the universe at large, and a shared sense of purpose and meaning to our existence. And that's where I think we can start really growing with this and seeing the transformation and evolution of consciousness itself as a very realistic operating principle for the universe at large.